my dog. Dog. Oh my dog. Dog.
Oh my dog, hey!
Oh my dog, hello.
It's Kara.
And Holly.
We're back again.
Welcome back.
Some of you are still listening, which is pretty cool. I read a statistic. I was like obsessing over like the number of people who had actually been listening to this. Is it worth our time? Actually, we don't give a hoot because we're excited to be here.
Anyway.
We're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
But I found out that majority of podcasts, they don't get past the third episode. So this is technically our third episode, or actually our fourth if you count the 2.5. We're doing a 0.5 situation for the halvesies. So we're a success story, as you can
imagine.
You just put that down. Yeah.
We're going to keep doing this no matter what. I'm having too much fun.
Well, and we meet up before and we do a State of the Union and we just say
have some cocktails,
and then like what do we need to accomplish before we get into the studio. So it has been a really good exercise for us to be able to connect once a week in person because we don't live in the same town and we don't have an office. We just are doing this as best we can.
Very valuable to have one-on-one FaceTime.
Plus we love each other.
Well, there's that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so this week we have a lot to cover. We're going to skip over some of our normal episode segments, but I do want to talk about a happy tale.
Oh my Lord. Is it happy?
It is so happy. Let's talk about Dot.
Yes. Tot Dot. So, oh my land.
She came
2 months ago.
She was an owner surrender. The gal was blind.
She was blind and she had to move housing. And so she had 3 dogs, one of which was her seeing eye dog. Another was like a husky Malamute mix that was a beautiful older dog that got adopted. And the third was a little pit bull mix that she had adopted from the shelter in Kansas. She attempted to return the little pit bull mix to Kansas, and basically they're not taking back pit bulls right now because it is what it is. And how did we get connected with them?
That's a good question. I know she came in our inbox.
Yeah, somebody showed up in our inbox and were like, hey, we hear you take dogs from here. What can you do?
Yep.
So this lady's best friend from childhood went over to see her, picked up the 2 dogs that she was unable to keep when she was moving to this housing that only allowed her to keep her service dog. Picks up these 2 dogs. There's the little pit bull, and then there is the husky mix, who the pit bull, how long of drive was this? Like 6 hours? Something?
Yeah.
It was very long.
But this lady was helping her friend, her blind friend move, and she was driving down from Iowa to, I think it was the Kansas area, and then she was going to bring these 2 dogs back, and I think it was, her name was originally Pearl, or the doodle was originally Pearl.
Yeah,
Either one. We changed their names all the time.
The Malamute was Pearl, and the other one was Dot.
That's right.
Okay. So these dogs showed up at our house, and Pearl, who ended up becoming another name, which I can't remember now because that's how I do.
I was trying to find it, but I'm coming up flat.
Marissa had it. It would be by Dot's name in our list. But anyhow, they showed up at my house, and Dot came out of the back seat of this car snarling.
And that lady was like,
she's mean. I said,
that one.
She goes, that one. Yeah, there are that one. That one's mean. And I'm like, mean? Because that's the one that I agreed to foster.
Go figure.
Yeah. She's this adorable little, literally 28-pound pit bull. She's tiny, but she's about 2 years old. Black and white. Her name is Dot. Well, our very first pit bull mix that we ever adopted, who we still have to this day, she's 13. Her name is .com, or we call her Dottie. And so when she came in as Dot, immediately I was like, I don't know what else to call her because she just looks like a dot. She has a perfect dot on the top of her head, but she can't be Dot because that's confusing, and it continued to be confusing.
Right.
So we ended up calling her Tot, or Tot Dot.
Well, in the records, it's Dot Lemon.
Well, yes, that's true. I did name her Dot Lemon because I'm like, what is like a famous Dot? And there was a famous female pilot many years ago, a really early pilot who was named Dot Lemon, and she broke some records or things. I don't know.
20th century aviator whose career ranged from barnstorming in the 1920s to becoming the first woman president.
Of what? Not here.
Of the Institute of Navigation in the 1960s. I love that.
So I picked Dot Lemon because I wanted her to be like a barnstormer or something that was really rolling in hot. And she did come in hot. She was spicy. I left her leash on her for 3 days. Because she came in and she was so growly, I didn't know what she was going to do.
She's had so many changes in such a short period of time.
And she got thrown into the back of a stranger's car for 5 hours.
Because she wasn't with the prior owner for very long.
She was adopted in September from Kansas.
Okay.
And then she was transported to us 2 months ago.
Right.
So she had not settled yet.
Lots of changes in a short period of time.
Yep.
Can't blame her.
So anyway, my daughter goes downstairs. She's determined that Dot Lemon at the time, or Tot Dot, or whatever the heck we're calling her.
The dog whisperer, Cam.
Yes, she's the best. She is determined that she's going to make her best friend. She sits downstairs for hours outside of this kennel while this dog snarls at her. And eventually, she does come out, and she lets her pet her, and we realize, okay, she's going to be fine. She's just terrified. So Cam leaves, goes to school, comes back the next day, comes home, and my husband, who has tried very little to attach to this dog, is like, oh, this dog's my new best friend. And we're like, okay, yeah, cool. But she was.
Oh.
And they just hung out all the time together, laid down on the couch, watched TV, did all the things, and he just kept saying every time that he'd have more than one beer, I'm going to keep this dog. And I'm like, you are just being ridiculous. That's not true. Like, we're not keeping another dog. I don't need another dog. I don't want a young dog. I like to keep the oldies, you know?
She's only a year old, yeah.
Yeah, and so
it's a commitment.
It was, and so then we waited. She got this really wonderful application from an adopter who was a veterinarian.
Yeah, I remember when we got that app.
I'm like, well, shoot, like this is the one. Like if she's gonna leave my house, this is it. So the mom was a vet. The dad, I don't know, he was along. And he was there. He was there. I don't know. He was lovely. They were all wonderful people, and they also had like a 12-month-old baby that was like kind of walking and moving or whatever. And I didn't know. We don't have little kids at our house, so I didn't know how she'd react. And they also had a dog, like an older Aussie. And they brought this dog over, and things were fine for a while. And then, Dot Lemon, whatever the heck her name is, had been getting along fine with every single dog, including foster dogs that have coming on in the last 2 months at our house. Never had an issue. This dog, she was like, nah, I'm cool. I don't really care for this dog.
Yeah.
And the family just had this moment of like, ugh.
She knew what was going on.
She did. Her and Marcus had a moment.
Dogs know, man.
They must have talked about it before. I don't know. Anyway, so I gave him an out. I said, hey, listen, this isn't it today. It's okay. You don't have to take her home today. Let's think about it, and you let me know.
Right.
So Marcus called me like twice during this meet and greet. Okay, he was out golfing. He was like, "I'm going to be golfing on Wednesday. I won't be able to be there." Okay. He called me twice. I call him back and I said, "Well, Tot's still here," and he goes, "Really?" I'm like, "Oh no." We just had this moment of she has gone through so much and she feels comfortable with us and she adores MB.
Okay, but in between the meet and greet and the eventual end of
we were waiting to hear what they said, because I told these people, I'm like, hey, if you want me to come and bring her to you where she might feel less protective of her house or whatever, I will bring her to you. We can try another meet and greet. And so we were waiting to hear back on that.
So that night, 9:24 p.m., I get a text message from Marcus. It's a group chat with Marcus and Kara. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Which is not a normal thing.
Not normal at all. First and only message that has ever been in a group chat. Mm-hmm. I filled out an app for Tot. Depending on what the family that met her tonight does, she will be my dog.
And at that moment, I knew.
And I said, I don't know. We'll have to check your references. We'll be in touch.
Yeah. And I'm the reference. So what am I supposed to do, you know?
But honestly, though, and this happens a lot with foster, when you get that application, when you've been thinking about maybe this dog belongs with me.
Right.
When you get that application, that's the second that you know.
Yeah, he knew as soon as I sent him that app. I said, this is your dog that you've been taking care of, really. Like, he's been handling everything with her.
Right.
And I said, you can make the choice. Do you want me to reach out to them? And he read it, and he said, oh, my gosh, they're on paper perfect.
Right.
So he said, of course, if they're the right family, she's got to go with them.
Exactly. And so when we're talking about fostering, and we've said this, I think we covered this in the first episode, how many times have we heard, oh, I could never foster, I'd adopt them all.
Right.
Blah, 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 whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Next. That second that you get the application for one of your foster dogs.
And you have that
literally that second that it comes through. And I'm using that word correctly, Mom.
Yeah.
Shout out. You will know if that dog is meant to be with you.
Yeah.
If you cannot imagine that dog being with any other family than with you, then that's how you know. And that
rare.
happens. And it happens, but it's rare.
It's rare. I'm working at like 2% here.
I've got a dog right now. He's fantastic. And we're going to cover him later on in this episode, but he's a sweet dog. There's nothing wrong with him. I love him. He snuggles great. But if I got an app for him tomorrow, please, if I got an app for him tomorrow, that was a good app, he needs to go on his way. He needs to go be with his people. He has a family waiting for him somewhere. Yeah. They're just taking a long ass time to apply.
They are my lands.
But Dot and Marcus belong together, and that's how we know.
Yeah.
And now we know.
We do.
And now it's official.
Gosh darn it. So anyway, now I get to
welcome to the fam band.
Yeah, she's in the fam. So anyway, her name, we call her Tot at home mostly because we do still have Dottie, who's the old lady, and she's like, she's fine. She can stay.
That's true.
So we do call her Tot most of the time. And I was like, we got to come up with a better name. Is it Tatiana? Is that stupid? And no one in my house will call her Tatiana because that's a dumb name.
Wasn't that a girl's name on one of those reality shows?
I don't know.
I probably kind of get on top with that.
No, I know. So she's Tot or Tot Dot, but her official name.
Well, that was an excellent happy tale. I am so happy for Marcus, and
this is the first time he's ever asked to keep a dog.
And frankly, he deserves it.
He does. He puts up with a lot. So,
let's go over our counts from last episode. So, our last episode we recorded on May 6th. We released on May 10th. So, since May 6th, we have taken in 10 dogs. We had 2 Boston Terrier Corgis, Elena and Cherry Jam. They were an owner release. We had a Corgi Maui.
All 3 of those adopted.
Paunchy Truffle, adopted. Chorky, Mr. Murado,
adopted. He came in with a purple mohawk, by the way.
I loved it.
It was ridiculous.
We have 3 Cheese that just came up from a shelter in Oklahoma City. We pull from them. I'm not sure if I would say regularly, but we keep an eye on their.
They reach out if they've got somebody that they know we can help.
And we have 3 very cute Chihuahuas that came up on Friday.
Yeah.
Okay. One of them is a long-haired Chihuahua, very cute, with foster Marissa. We have another 2 that are short-haired Chihuahuas, but are they all siblings? Do we know?
They're
like
from
siblings.
The same litter, for sure. Yeah. They're about 6 months old. So we have
and they're all males.
All boys.
And they're tan Chihuahuas.
Cute.
Very cute.
Yeah.
We've got Squirt came in. Then we had a very peculiar situation with a pair of weens, Dingle and Barry, appropriately named by our best friend foster, Natasha.
They shouldn't let us save dogs. This is what happens.
So this is kind of a weird situation. This has never happened to us before. It was these pair of wiener dogs were
beautiful
being dog sat by Natasha.
Yes.
And if you remember from our last full episode 2, Natasha is a magnet for shit shows. This is just that.
Like what in the
She
world?
was dog sitting these 2 dogs, and
It was supposed to be for like a week.
I think it was for the lady had to go for an internship, which was 2 weeks long in Tennessee or Kentucky or somewhere down there.
Yeah.
And then it turned into 4 weeks, and she was paying Natasha for watching the dogs,
And then-
which you should, right? Like,
Yes.
And then there was kind of a lost contact,
Ghost arrived.
kind of a ghosting situation. And anyway, the way that it all fell out was now these weens are part of the Oh My Dog family.
They are.
We wish the prior owner all the best. We will take care of her dogs. Probably not the best way to handle that situation, but
It happened.
here we are.
And already, of course, because they're 2 adorable wiener dogs, they've already got a million applications.
Well, it's a double dapple for one.
One of them. And the other one
And
is
the other one
most
is a
little tan. They're beautiful.
a tan wiener,
not a normal color.
which is
really light
not-
color.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're 2 very
Unique.
unique wieners.
They were not
unique wieners.
all wieners are unique. They're like snowflakes.
And then we have 5. So that's 10 intakes, and then we have 5 coming tomorrow. So today is we're recording on Monday the 20th. Tomorrow we have 5 coming from Wichita. So that makes 15 if you really want to count it.
True. Yes. And in that time since we recorded, we have had a total of 12 adoptions.
Tiny Tim.
Tiny Tim, that little wiener
just
dog with
love
the
him.
he had a little, we call it a flipper.
Now this is different from the other flipper that we've had. We had Flipper T-Rex.
She was a
She
double
had
flipper.
structural
She
in
had
her
bones.
flips.
Yes. She had bones. So she was using those bones to get around. Her legs were like stuck like little, 45-degree
Right,
angle.
like-
And so
Tiny Tim had no bone structure
was just
in
a
his
floppy.
flipper. It was just a skin flap.
initially the vet said, we're going to have to take that off because it's going to become a problem.
Right.
And then she spent the night thinking about it, looked at the x-rays again, messaged in the morning and said, you know what? It's
And
probably
changed my recommendation.
Yeah, let's
Yep.
keep the flipper on. So then
Which we all agreed with at the beginning.
I said in the beginning, leave that thing on. There's
But
nothing wrong with that
we
little army.
take our vet recommendations very seriously.
We do. So anyway, gone immediately because there were so many applications for a
And
three-legged
he
wiener
went
dog.
to the best.
These
there
people had already a
I
couple
know.
of lowrider dogs with 3 legs.
Lowriders.
Yeah, we like it. So they were prepared and ready, and they knew what they were getting into, and it was good. So,
And we had Elena, Cherry Jam, Maui, and Truffle, which we already talked about. Hank. Oh my God.
quick.
Probably the longest term foster we've ever had in our
So
lives.
Hank was a 130-pound bloodhound.
Beautiful bloodhound.
Gorgeous.
Purebred.
Amazing.
The jowls, the ears,
All
the
the
slobber, all of
So
it.
originally, long ago, when he was brought into rescue, before he was even an all rescue, he was found tied to a car in the woods, basically, like just left. He had suffered a lot of abuse. He had some issues with like food guarding, all the things. He was adopted to a family who did love him very much. However,
For quite a few months.
for a long time, and
But there was an incident.
there was an incident where he started getting, he's very sensitive about his feet. And something happened where they were trying to wipe his feet with the mud, and Hank bit the owner, and they called and they were like, he needs to be gone right now.
Right.
Because it was scary for them, and it is what it is. But after that, he sat for weeks and months and days and years. Oh my God, it wasn't years, but it felt like forever. And then Jennifer, who I will post a picture of this tattoo, okay? So Jennifer, who had been fostering him from the very beginning, from before she had all the patience in the world for him, and she spent a lot of time training him, and she was like, I'm gonna mess with him until he bites me to see what his triggers are.
She was very brave. She's
very
brave. We don't got insurance for that.
She did it on her own accord. And she did, and we figured out all of his things, and we did a lot of extensive training with him to figure out exactly what he needed to safely place him in a home that was right for him.
Right.
We did all of our due diligence. We worked very hard, and we were very transparent with everybody who had applied for him that he did have a bite risk.
Which we are with every dog.
Everybody. We'd say the good, bad, the ugly, always. And so she had this person who used to live near her, who reached out has a couple of basset hounds and was like, hey, I'm interested in Hank. And she was like, really? Like, okay. And they had conversations over the course of a month, and she met him in Colorado, or right to Colorado. Road trip with her little Maltese.
I would have liked to have.
I know we were gonna
that road trip.
We were gonna road trip him, but she went to go meet her friend, and they met. It was immediate love.
Coolest guy ever.
He's awesome.
He's got like the mustache.
He just looks cool.
He looks like a fun guy to hang out with.
He does. I'd like to have a cocktail
and him
if he
and
wants to have a cocktail with me.
Are like,
they look like a match made in heaven. So it's a single dude. He's got a couple of basset hounds, and then this dog. So the dog has been in the home for, I can't say 2 weeks, not even. And we get a picture update. My dude has gone out.
Is it Hot Dog Hank?
Hot Dog Hank tattoo. It's a tattoo of this dog he just adopted, who was so meant to be with him. It says Hot Dog Hank, and it's got a picture of Hank with his big derpy face with the stupid tongue hanging out and jowls everywhere. Hot Dog Hank. And I'm like, well, he's non-returnable now. Right? Though I will say I have covered up a tattoo of a past boyfriend before. But you can't do that with a big Hot Dog Hank tattoo. What would you put over it? I don't know.
I just love that. I love that for all of them.
So
Jennifer she was so patient.
She was so patient, and she worked really hard with him to make sure that he was safe to go to his new home. After a bite risk, we don't take it lightly.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And then of course we had Dot, Al Pacino, the crazy lab,
who seems to be doing fine, I think.
Reba, our shotgun victim.
Yeah, Reba from last time. She got adopted. Mm-hmm.
Peppercorn, Brooks and Dunn, again from.
So these two pugs got adopted by the greatest family of all time. Right. They already had 3 pugs, and they moved out to Van Meter to purchase a big chunk of land that they put this giant privacy fence on, so that all of these dogs can run freely. You've got to look it up. If you go to Facebook and if you look up Brinley's Backyard, and Brinley is one of the pugs that they already owned. Brinley, Brinley's Backyard.
Got it.
My lands. And the funny thing was,
it's a doggy daycare.
It's a doggy daycare. So I met this guy months ago. We were working on trying to help this really reactive dog together. We had been brought together because the owner had left the dog at Brinley's Backyard and just couldn't pick him up because they couldn't.
There's another one. Like, who is doing this?
They just left the dog there. And so he calls, and we have a wonderful conversation. Immediately, I'm like, yeah, you're our people. You're wonderful. And he said, honestly, this is not a dog that should go into rescue. We need to privately rehome him to a really specific place. And he kept that dog as best he could, and they found a home for it, and it worked out great. It was a little Airedale Terrier. But anyway, I got this application. I went to text him, and I realized it was the same guy who had been so honest with me.
Pre-approved.
I'm like, you're good, And so now they have a family of 5 pugs.
Can you imagine?
I can. Yeah. It's amazing. And so Brinley's Backyard now has 8 more feet.
Now, as a reminder, Brooks and Dunn they were an owner surrender, a family that is going through an organ transplant.
Yes.
We wanted to keep them together at the request of the family, and we did. We don't typically do that, but this was a special request, and
they are just living the life.
They're gonna live the dream. Okay, so we have a ton to cover yet. We're gonna go through today. So many times when I tell people that we run a dog rescue,
we've got these coasters.
They ask, how do you get all these dogs? And I'm like, well, we get them from owner surrenders, we get them from breeder surrender, we get them from, da 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 da. So we just want to go through all of the different ways that we bring dogs into Oh My Dog Rescue, and we just kind of want to cover that real quickly. Well, not real quickly.
We won't be quick because that's not what we do.
All of the ways that dogs come to us, and then we're gonna wrap up with Kara's bad joke of the week. And our featured adoptable dogs. We got 2 this week. So let's just jump right into it. So,
continually, as we've gotten more well-known,
right,
we're getting more and more every day of
owner surrenders.
Yeah.
We get requests, I want to say, nearly daily.
Yeah.
Probably at least 5 times a week.
Yes.
Owners that are trying to surrender their dog for one reason or another. And we're going to go through those reasons. So one of them might be that the owner has passed.
Yeah.
And the family can't take the dog or dogs, and they're looking for a solution. Happy to help. Another reason might be that the owner is going into a nursing facility and can't take their dogs.
Several in a row that were this way.
Yep.
And it was
happy to help that way as well.
We are. And, the family member will bring the dogs to us. And we actually had an adoption that happened this week, a beagle. And that dog was brought to us because her mother had to go into an assisted living that couldn't keep the dog.
Right.
And wonderful dog. Sat nicely in my little car seat.
There's nothing wrong with these dogs.
No,
it's an owner's circumstance.
And that's okay.
And I wish more facilities were dog friendly. Although, again, I've said it before, I understand why.
Yeah.
But also, I think as we progress, that dog friendly facilities will become more of a thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Well, all of us millennials can't get rid of,
Well, by the time we hit our Golden Girls status,
we're screwed.
We're going to need a dog park in Miami. That's about it.
That's true.
But we do get owner surrenders for a lot of
dumb reasons. I think the dumbest of them all is that they're moving and the new place won't take the dog.
That's the worst.
Unless they're tying you up in a white coat and putting you into a facility, there's no reason that you can't find a place that will take your dogs. I lived in an apartment with 3 dogs.
And we've talked about how do we, we can sit here and complain about it and say how stupid it is, but how do we combat it? How do we be helpful? And, let's come up with a list of dog-friendly housing and so on and so forth.
And that exists out there.
First of all, yes, we can do that, and we probably will do that. Second of all, not our responsibility.
No.
But we'll still do it. Third of all, how do you do that? Yeah, how are you gonna just move into a new place without your best friend? I don't get it. Know. I could never.
I mean, so I moved and had a big relationship change and a life change, and I had 2 little dogs at the time, and I was moving from, and I lost my job actually at the same time. I worked for a college that was bought out, and I lost my job, and I decided that the relationship that I was in was not appropriate, and I had a little baby, and I had 2 dogs. All the reasons that people will say, hey, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Oh, weird, magically, in small town Iowa, I found a place that I could take all of those things with me.
Right.
And I kept them. And,
to me, that tells me what priority a dog is to that person.
Right.
And I understand and I realize that, to me, my dogs are number 1 priority.
Right.
And they always will be.
Right.
That's just who I am as a person.
True.
They are part of me, and that's never going to change. That's not true for everybody.
It's not. And I understand there are some extenuating circumstances. We've gotten a message, if you absolutely lose your housing and you're living in your car or whatever, things happen and we understand you need immediate help. And we're always here to evaluate what's happening, ask for help from our volunteers. But this is a good time to talk about how we determine whether or not we can take in a dog.
Well, just like we talked about last episode, when you kick off an owner surrender, it kicks off a lot of moving parts.
Right.
So make sure that you are really in a desperate situation where you need to surrender your dog, so we are allocating our resources appropriately.
And we've had a couple weeks of not a lot of wasted time, which is nice. What happened? Did somebody listen? Probably not. We just got lucky.
Well, so one example is Poutine. Yes. She was a little pug. Her owner passed away unexpectedly on April 4th. And the owner's family and one of our Natasha worked together to get the dog picked up, get it into foster, and she was adopted very quickly.
As soon as they said pug, I was like, yup.
We're in.
We'll take it. But later, the people who had taken in the dog and were asking for assistance. Reached out and sent a little donation, which was wonderful and
very much appreciated. Thank
amazing.
You.
Really
in memory of Tom, I'm gonna slay this.
Gretjat?
Yeah.
Gretjat?
Gretjat?
I don't know.
I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
Well, that
Kanawha, Iowa.
Yeah, Kanawha.
Kanawha? Okay.
Right?
Sure.
I don't know.
Either way, I don't care what the name is or
so this person passed away who clearly very much loved this dog. And so I had, of course, because it was a pug, and, you know, as a co-owner of a rescue, you get to raise your hand when your favorite breed comes in. I was like, yeah, I will foster the pug. And I had the most wonderful family come and adopt Poutine. And the funniest reason that they even noticed that she was available for adoption, they were up looking for different options on Pet Finder, and Poutine's little bug eyes popped up, and they're originally from Canada. And so
Poutine.
And so the fry dish of Poutine really drew them in, and they read her description and they reached out, and it ended up being just perfect. They came in, it was a grandma and her granddaughter, and I will tell you that I have not felt better about a dog leaving my house. They were just, it was meant to be, and all the things, all the kismet, it landed. And so that was amazing. And I'm really thrilled that we got to be able to take Tom's dog, who he clearly loved,
and
find her a home where she's going to live forever.
Yep.
So that was pretty cool.
Okay. Other reasons we get dogs, breeder surrenders. So we've touched on this before. We work with breeders in the area to retire their breeding stock, and we want to be very clear about this, that, you know, Kara and I have talked extensively about how do we not support the breeding system but help these dogs that need to be retired out. And so we work with these breeders.
We're specific about who we take breeder dogs from for that reason.
And we will cover this in another episode, but we did take the remaining stock dogs, that's what they call them, stock dogs, which are breeding dogs,
state of Iowa,
from a breeder called Unforgettable Schnauzers, and she is in Story County, and she had been on the Horrible 100 list multiple times, not just once, but multiple times. And when Kara and I started Oh My Dog, I told her, because this woman lives just maybe 10-15 miles from me personally, and I told Kara, I said, if we have any goals, that's one of mine, is to,
she said, I want to take the last of their breeding stock and be done, and have be done breeding dogs.
And it
was no more than a week or two before we had talked about that last, and we got a call.
We do that all the time. We say something and then it happens. We got to be careful about that.
Seriously though, like, if you don't believe in putting things out into the universe without getting too weird,
right?
We're pretty good at that.
We're really good at that.
If we say something,
you're really good at that.
It's scary.
Kind of deathly good at that, actually.
We have killed people.
Another story for another day. But that's true. So, yes, we took the remaining 13 Schnauzers from Unforgettable Schnauzers, and that breeder is now non-active on IDALs, and so that's another way that we get dogs in.
Yeah, and I do have a breeder as well that I have kind of befriended.
We've been working with her quite a bit.
Yeah, she's actually a lovely lady who is getting older and is done, and so, or getting close to being done, and so about every month or so she'll message me with the dogs that she's ready to retire out.
Her husband's always willing to send
they roll up, and she hands out a few dogs, and he goes, what else can you take? And I said, I'll take whatever you've got. So we try, but I assume I did some math based on what they had inspected in the past year. based on what we're getting from them, and I anticipate by 2025 we'll have them completely retired out.
It's a long haul. It can be a long haul.
Yeah.
Or it can be a big inundated with a very large group, which we're also capable of handling, obviously.
Yeah.
Other ways, born into rescue. So sometimes dogs come into rescue and they're pregnant and we don't know it, or we do know it and we're okay with it and we'll handle it.
Yeah.
It's not our favorite, I think 3 times now.
Yeah.
At least twice I know of, because I handled Malibu.
Yeah, 3 total. 3 total, because we...
Delilah.
Yes.
Which is just most recently.
And then I had Olivia,
right. So sometimes we get pups born into rescue if a dog comes in pregnant and it's too far along that we don't feel comfortable aborting. Mm-hmm. We will have dogs born into rescue.
Yeah. So it is a huge commitment in a long-term foster situation, because you've got to have these dogs for 8 to 12 weeks after they wean and then find places for the puppies. And there are some rescues who really specialize in that, and that is great, because for us, we'd rather take the old crusty musty ones than a mama and babies, because it's a lot of work, but also it's harder to find homes for the old crusty musties than it is like the litter of puppies. And so, volume speaking, we can help a lot more dogs, but we'll always, if they show up, so occasionally we'll get dogs in that are pregnant. We may or may not know that they're pregnant when they come. I think all 3 of ours that we've had, we had no idea. And so then we had to just figure it out.
Right. Especially, Olivia and Malibu, we didn't know that they were pregnant. Mm-hmm. Delilah was
she threw her in the car, and we were like, yeah, that dog's pregnant. You
didn't really have a choice.
No.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but they show up. They're in the family way. They got some babies coming.
Yeah.
And we figure it out. But we prefer to take the old crusty musties, personally, just because that's what we're passionate about. There are rescues that do take the more baby mama situation.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's a group out there for every situation.
But for us, we like to be able to handle whatever comes at us. And so, but yeah, occasionally we get mamas with babies. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Not very often, but sometimes we get strays. So
I would like to talk about that real quick, because I get calls, because you are in Madrid, Iowa, and in Boone County. And if you search Boone County Shelter or Rescue, Oh My Dog Rescue will come up, because we're located there as well as Polk County, right? And there's not a lot of options in rural Iowa for if you find a stray dog.
Sure.
So people will call and they'll say, oh, I found this dog. Can you take it? And I'll say, no, I don't have a shelter. I don't have anywhere for it to go. It's got a family. You need to call the police, or you need to call animal control.
Get it scanned. Yep. See if it has a chip.
What do? You take that dog, if you don't have an animal control or a non-emergency police line that you're aware of, you take that dog to a local vet, have them scanned for a microchip. That'll probably solve it. And if they're not microchipped, then you will connect with whoever your local animal control is and find where they can look for the owner. If a dog is a stray, the only way that we can take it in as a private rescue is if the police say, yeah, this dog is clearly a stray and there is no owner and we know this and it's been running amok and we're releasing it to you. Mm-hmm. Great. Or if the owner itself releases the dog.
Right. Well, so Ziggy,
that was a crazy one.
Crazy. He was dumped outside of Madrid, rural Madrid.
And we know that it was like on purpose.
And he was chipped and registered.
He was originally adopted from the ARL.
So we had we tracked down the owners that were registered to the microchip and, kind of explained to them, like, hey,
that's not the best way to get rid of your dog.
Right.
Just idiots.
Give us a call.
Literally got a chip in its body that says you're the one.
Right.
Like, what the heck?
Not real bright, but anyway. So we do occasionally get a stray or two. I think this kind of falls into the semi-same category, free to a good home. There's posts on Facebook or Craigslist like, hey, this dog needs to go. If it doesn't get out of here, I'm going to shoot it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
We get those come in every now and again. If you see something like this, please give that person our information. Don't send their information to us. We're not going to reach out to them. If they want to surrender the dog to us,
truly,
if they need help, then we will help them. But we're not tracking down problems.
Yeah, we're
here to help, but we're not
looking for dogs here because we don't need to.
Right. But this is a dangerous situation when people post dogs for free.
And I understand you get into a desperate spot and you're like, I really don't know what to do with this dog. I can't handle it. I don't know what happens next. And so they say free to a good home because they want it gone. They want it gone now. Mm-hmm. But some bad things can happen.
What better solution for that than to just call us and say, hey, I've got this dog. I need it to go now.
Well, and I know that many of the shelters and us, honestly, and many other rescues are very full. And so they may be getting no's before they get to that point. But please just reach out and see. But here's some things that can happen if you give away a dog for free.
Right.
We have gotten more than half a dozen doodles who are unfixed and they're all the most commonly given away dog age, 1 year old. Mm-hmm. So 1-year-old dogs, they're like, well, we got through the puppy stage. This is annoying. It was cute. We don't want this dog anymore. It's the most annoying thing for me when I see a dog giving away at 1 year old because it's like, yeah, you're giving away a freaking prepubescent teen. Like, right. I would have liked to do that too, but I didn't. Okay? It paid off for me. No, she was actually lovely. We're speaking of my human child. She's perfect in every way. But no, people will give away these dogs at 1 year old. They're unfixed. They're probably not up to date on shots because they're over it, So they're either giving this dog to a rescue who's going to make sure that all of that stuff is taken care of and that they land in an appropriate home for that dog, for its energy, for its training needs, all of that stuff. Or they're giving it away to someone, a doodle. They're going to breed it. They're going to get another doodle for free because it is more common are we asked to take doodles than pit bulls.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Right? So you think of like dogs going into shelters. Right now, the doodle boom is booming downwards in people realizing that it is a difficult dog. That is something we are going to dive into eventually about the truth about doodles and all of that. Yeah. But regardless, these dogs are coming in unfixed. If they go to somebody who is looking for a buck, they'll breed that dog. Yep. Why would you want Fluffy to have deal with that and go litters, like horrible?
Right. But there's another very real risk to giving a dog away for free, depending on the breed of dog. They can be used as bait dogs.
They can
to train dog fighting,
and it's very real. That is happening in Iowa. Whether you like it or not, it is. Yeah, so these little sweet submissive doodles that you're seeing that are showing up for free on these sites, guess what?
Yep.
They're not having a lovely fate when you give them away free to,
right. So if you see a free to a good home post, please send that person our information, encourage them to surrender the dog to a reputable rescue or shelter, whether it's us or another rescue or shelter, just to protect the dog. Okay, so the most common way that we receive dogs, though, is something that Kara and I are both pretty passionate about, is through shelter transfers or euthanasia lists. So dogs that are not doing well in shelter, or they have been in shelter in a kill shelter too long, and they are youth listed. And so, I think we get the list. We work with some really great partners that send us the list when it's necessary, but there's a list that goes out pretty much every morning of dogs that are youth listed. And so if you're unaware, in a shelter that is not a no-kill shelter,
right,
a stray dog, quote, stray dog.
They're all stray dogs.
Will come into a shelter, and they have 7 days to exit the shelter alive. Basically.
Yeah.
And on day 5 or so, there will be an assessment by a shelter employee, and they will determine whether that dog is adoptable, should be transferred, or is youth listed.
And then this puts them up or down on the scale, right? Like if this is a really adoptable dog, maybe we wait a couple extra days. Or if this dog is snarling and awful and mean, then it gets up on the list.
Or if it's a specific breed
or color.
Right. Yep. And so actually the 5 or 6, however many is coming tomorrow. I don't remember.
5 tomorrow.
There's supposed to be 6, but one has kennel cough.
Yeah, they won't transport with kennel cough, which we'll get that one eventually.
Fine. Yeah, she'll come eventually. But anyway, all 5 of those dogs were youth listed, and they're not. They're not pit bulls. They're not. They're small, cute, young.
There is a Brussels Griffon mix, which is my favorite. Grumpy old man looking scruffy muffle. An old Chihuahua who just needs a little TLC. Another one, a couple that are like Legs McGee. They just are like little long-legged tiny dogs.
And there's nothing wrong with these dogs.
No, they're adorable. Quantity.
It's just volume.
Yeah.
These shelters only have so much space. There's dogs coming into them constantly every single day.
Yep.
And they don't have the room.
Yep.
And so sometimes when we get requests for to take in a dog, and it might be a larger breed dog, it might be a hard to place dog, and we have to say no. And people will say, well, why? What's going on? It's like, okay, listen, I can either take in this one single dog and tie up a foster home for literally months, or I can take in 6 dogs off of a youth list.
They're probably going to be gone by the next time we
talk. And they will be vetted and adopted in 2 weeks, within 21 days.
And that's not to say that we're picking and choosing the dogs we're taking. Absolutely not. But if there is a dog in need,
we kind of are, but it's not because we're being picky and choosy because of the dog. I'm saying we are trying to help the most that we can.
Yeah, it's true.
And I can save way more here off of a youth list. I can pull 5, 6, 7 off of a youth list. Like literally these dogs are going to die versus taking a dog from a surrender situation where I'm moving and my new apartment doesn't allow a dog. Sorry. I'm going to pick the youth list every single time.
Yeah.
Every single time. You can wait. You can figure that out. That's a life choice. These dogs are literally between life and death.
Right.
And I'm going to save them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we are very passionate about dogs that have sat in shelters for a long time.
That's the other thing that I'm personally very passionate about.
That's your thing. I am more so... I know that we can't take them all, but I like the ones that are a little bit of a challenge. And we can't take them in as big of quantities, but on a one-off, if I know that I've got all of my foster homes full and that there's one dog sitting there that I know that I can help, I'm going to try it. Because I'd rather try than know that dog's going to be euthanized tomorrow.
Right.
And we can't do that on a high quantity because it's difficult. Because dogs with behavioral issues and larger breed dogs and all of those things are very difficult to place in a foster-based rescue. But I think that we've had really great success with both of those things in choosing to take dogs in that are going to be euthanized that we know we can place easily and that we know we can find homes for easily. And then also cherry picking the ones that we know that need our help and we can do it.
Right.
So.
And we're not dogging on shelters, pun intended, at all.
No.
They are overwhelmed.
And they're needed because obviously there's so many people giving up their dogs that...
But what I'm saying is you have let's say it's like an 8-pound Chihuahua, a 10-year-old Chihuahua, and... this dog has obviously been somebody's pet at some point, and they're picked up off the street, and nobody has come to claim them. Like, this dog has been dumped.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
And you put them in a very sterile environment. in a kennel in a shelter that's loud and noisy, and they're strangers, and it's not their home environment.
And they're tiny, and everything is
they're small,
huge.
and they're not on their normal feed, and they don't have their normal bedding, and they're in this concrete box.
Yep.
And they're there for 4 days, and somebody comes in, a stranger comes in, and does a literally 5-minute assessment.
Pokes them,
again, Mom, using that word correctly, literally in the notes, 5-minute assessment, saying this dog is anxious, stood in the corner, would not approach, gave me whale eye. Well, yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
Like, what do you expect out of this little tiny Chihuahua? Like, come on, you guys.
So I think,
and again, not dogging on the shelters. They're just doing their job.
They can't help it. They're doing their best.
They've got volume.
Yeah.
They're doing the best that they can. But those are the dogs
that we can help.
That I'm going to take.
Yeah.
And those are the dogs that I'm going to take over an owner surrender because you're moving. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to apologize for that.
I know immediately when I see a picture of a dog and they say, aggressive, backs away, is lunging at the person. And if I look at the dog in that shelter, I'm like, I got it. It's cool. And every time it's good. So we had one that...
And you learn that. I mean, how many dogs... We've seen... hundreds and hundreds of dogs at this point, just through Oh My Dog, not to mention all of the dogs before that. We kind of got a grip on this. I can look at a dog, you can look at a dog and say,
we can figure it out. Yeah.
That one ain't gonna fly.
Yeah.
That one's got some issues. Or that one deserves a chance.
Yeah. So we had this little, just as an example, we had this little Chorky who came to us on... how long have I had her now? A couple weeks. Dingo. And we've had a few little, somethings. But she had a list of things that they said they tried to do in these 5 minutes, and it was a lot. They really did quite the write-up on her, and I felt like it was a write-up justifying that they were going to euthanize her. Mm-hmm. Fine. She bit. She lunged. They tried to pick her up in a towel. She still bit them. She still lunged. She was terrified. She wouldn't look at them. She, didn't let anybody in the kennel area. This dog is 7 pounds. Okay. It's a little scruffy,
Still quite capable, but manageable.
Yes. So I'm like, this dog is just terrified. Let me figure this out. And so we did. We brought her up. But what we did was somebody donated a kennel. They put her in the kennel. She rode in that thing for 6 hours, all the way up to me. I brought her home, put her in my in my kitchen, set her down, opened the kennel, and I was like, "Good luck, sis." And
welcome to the crew.
Welcome to the crew. And so she snarled, she barked, she bit, she lunged, and then.
Little Dolores. Was it Dolores?
Yeah, well, Dolores is
completely unknowing. Just walked up to her like, "Hey, how's it going?"
I like to call Dolores the spokes dog of Oh My Dog because she was our first foster fail, and it was my foster fail, a tiny little pug, and she's still a tiny little pug. She just turned 1 in February.
Worth it.
She's an idiot. She is so stupid, but she's so great. Everybody loves her, and I love her, but she's so dumb. So she doesn't...
We all know that.
Yeah, she doesn't...
One person.
Yeah. She's living with fluff in her brains, okay? But she has no idea. But so she just goes up to this dog and is like, "Hey, won't be my friend?" And this dog's like, "I guess I'll come out of this kennel." She was in there a day and a half. She finally came out of the kennel, and I sat down on the ground after a few glasses of wine and bravery, and I was like, "Okay, that's it. I'm going to hold you." I sat down. I turned on my camera. And I just say, "Dingo, do you want to be my friend? I'll be your friend." And I swear to you, she was just in that moment, caught on video, pops up on my lap, under my hand.
Okay,
cool. Wants to be pet. And now she is still sassy, but she loves everybody.
She's spicy.
She's spicy, but she loves everybody in our house. And I actually have an adopter coming for her this week, who is a very special person.
For every puppy.
Yeah, she's a special woman who's adopted 2 Chihuahuas from me, and she gets it. She knows what she's getting into, and she's going to come pick her up, and they're going to be perfect together. She's wonderful.
2 weeks ago, this dog would be dead.
She was
quite literally.
She was past the euthanasia date. No, we pulled her, and she was supposed to be euthanized the hour before.
Yeah.
And we pulled her 1 hour after her supposed euthanasia date or time. They just hadn't gotten to it yet.
Right.
And now she's going to make someone very happy for many years to come. She's a wonderful dog.
That's what I'm here for.
Yep, it's pretty fun.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So when we see these lists come through, we work with quite a few rescue groups that send us these things. Yeah, it's kind of an underground network, really.
It is. Doggy underground.
And after we get the lists of dogs that are the youth list, we'll put it out on our Mutt Mafia page, which if you are not an approved Mutt Mafia member, please go to our website if you'd like to become one and apply. We would love to have you. But we put these, photos out of the dogs. If anybody's willing to foster, anybody that speaks up, then we will tag them. And then we work with rescue in that area, which most of the time is with Always and Forever, which is with Kelly and Craig, who are very near and dear to our hearts.
Oh. They're just an extension.
Could not do this without them.
No.
And then they tag the dogs for us.
Or we tag them and then they help us go get them.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to go down to Wichita every time.
Right.
We can't just drive down there and pick up these dogs.
A lot of dogs come out of Wichita, out of Kansas.
A lot. The number of dogs euthanized there is increasing again.
Astronomical.
It's an outrage. Like, they went down for a while.
And Oklahoma.
Oklahoma is a lot. Texas is a lot. We'll talk about Texas another time.
Yeah, we kind of put a hold on that.
But specifically Kansas, it's close enough to us that we can get a transport in a day. We can get the dogs here. We can get them safe.
But after we tag them, first of all, then we've got to get approved for the tag. Then we have to get a health cert.
Yep.
Which, if you're not familiar, a health certificate is just basically a veterinarian
baptizes the dog and says you can go to Iowa.
Exactly. And it's for crossing state lines. So anytime a dog crosses a state line, they have to have a health cert. And
we like to do things right. Particular.
Very particular.
For a good reason.
For good reasons for these health certs.
Yes.
For legal reasons, for health reasons. It just has to be done. Yep. So the dogs have to be seen by a vet. They have to have a health cert. They have to, at a minimum, have rabies and not show any signs of, for example, kennel cough, distemper, whatever. And then they go into the transport portal, which is facilitated by our very bestest friend, Craig.
I didn't think that we would meet anybody else that was as passionate as Holly and I are about what we're doing here as a mission as a whole.
I mean, Craig and Kelly both. I mean, Kelly handles all the health cert bullshit, which, frankly, she's a saint. I'm not even going to try.
If we say, what do we do next? She goes, I'll take care of it.
Okay, thanks, Kelly.
She's incredible. The amount of lives that Kelly has saved from networking alone. From networking alone, not even just in their own rescue, has got.
She knows everybody.
Thousands. She knows everybody.
She knows everybody. You got a dog that I got somebody for that.
Yep, I'll connect you. Yeah, I know who likes pugs. Yep. It's me.
And then it goes into the Craig portal. So Craig is a very dedicated transporter. He has transported 2,147 dogs in
himself.
He's coming up on his 5-year anniversary in June. So in less than 5 years, he has transported 2,147 dogs over a course of, listen to this closely, 243,611 miles.
That's him alone.
Just him.
That's not
counting all the people,
all the legs
of
the journey. That's not talking about like the dogs that he has coordinated transport for that he couldn't be on. This is his personal vehicle. He has had that many dogs inside of it. He has driven that many miles in these vehicles.
Right. And these legs are broken up into 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, if they're coming from Oklahoma, if they're coming from Texas, they can get as much as 12 to 15 legs.
Yeah.
Because you try to keep it within a 1 hour leg.
Yeah, because people don't want to drive half a day,
So, typically coming out of Kansas, it'll be like 4 legs, out of Kansas up to, and then we'll have a volunteer meet them in Bethany.
He does.
He is so organized.
It's crazy.
I am. He is my people.
Yes.
He is.
We didn't know we would ever meet anyone like us, but we did, and he's like on steroids, right?
I respect him so much.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's very organized. So if you're thinking about transporting, if you're thinking about ways to volunteer that are outside of fostering, transporting is the next best way. So there will be call-outs for transport, and you can sign up for a specific leg. So if you're in the Des Moines area, you can run from Bethany, Missouri to Des Moines, or Lamoni to Des Moines. It's like an hour and a half, whatever, one way, and then we disperse locally usually for Oh My Dog. But there's legs that run to Cedar Rapids. Further up north, up to Clear Lake.
I know a lot of the people who work in corporate America, so like the Wells Fargos of the world, those types of places, they will give you a certain number of hours off that they will pay for you to...
Absolutely. Go transport.
Yeah.
And then you can listen to our podcast while you're transporting.
That's right.
I'm just saying.
Well, I do share the podcast with the transport group. So I'm like, hey, if you guys are bored and you need like an hour of time filled, listen, what ladies you can listen to. I don't know if they want to hear our voices, but regardless.
Transporting is probably one of the easiest ways to volunteer and make the biggest difference, honestly.
It is. And it is simple. That's how I got started in rescue, honestly. So before I ever adopted Pansy, the one-eyed Chihuahua, and got involved in fostering, I was a 20-something broke, living in low-income duplex, and I borrowed my soon-to-be mother-in-law's minivan because I wanted to transport these dogs. I lived up in northern Iowa, and I would take them from Mason City to the Twin Cities, which was a quick little zip up.
Sure.
And the whole way, I'm bonding with these dogs who are just in the back, and I was so thrilled to find out their forever, circumstances where they land. You get to see the change that you make in the world in real time.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Well, there's so much work that's going on outside of that. It's a very... I don't even want to say it's a very small, because it's not small. It's very important, but it's a very temporary way to volunteer. I mean, you're only on the hook for a few hours, but it's very crucial to making everything else happen. If I could tag 10 dogs out of Kansas or Oklahoma or Texas or wherever, but if I can't get them here, don't matter.
Well,
doesn't matter. Just like tonight.
As we're talking, we had 30 minutes before we were about to come in here and record, and we knew that Oh My Dog was going to go on pause for a couple of hours while we did this recording. And we reached out to a bunch of people, and we found Morgan, one of our volunteer, usually a foster.
Amazing volunteer foster.
We'll talk about her in more depth in another time because she has some incredible skills.
She deserves a whole...
Yeah, she'll get a whole shout out. But she was able to jump in, grab a dog for us in Winterset, and bring it up to Urbandale while we're here recording. It's happening right now.
It's happening literally right now.
Dropped off. And without that, we wouldn't have been able to bring that dog here in the time that it needed it because it was an urgent situation.
And, for you and I to be, both of us, to be offline for 2 hours is...
Well, we're going to have 200 notifications when we get done, but that's fine.
I'm trying to keep up with them while we're here, but...
I'm not looking. I don't want to know.
So, anyway, we just wanted to give a huge shout out to Craig and Kelly, and, that's one of the biggest ways that we get dogs is off of youth lists, which is something that we're very passionate about, whether it's a large breed, small breed, whether they have aggression issues, whether they're just scared in shelter, if they've been there a long time. I would say 60 to 70% come from shelter transfers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and more we're getting more owner surrenders, but I think we do push back on that a little bit because sometimes the owner surrender is a cop-out. And how can we give them a resource to keep the dog or help the dog to find an appropriate home without taking away resources from dogs that could otherwise be killed?
So when you adopt a dog from rescue versus buying a dog from, buying a puppy from a breeder.
Right.
Not recommended. Please don't do that. You adopt the dog and its entire history.
Yes.
Which it could have a very vanilla history. It could come from a very,
it could be grandma that loved that dog for 10 years and it's the most perfect thing ever.
Or she went to a facility and it's a perfect dog and it's potty trained and it's, fun and go living. It could also come from a junkyard that has been shot and has been used as a bait dog for its entire life.
Yeah, a padlock around its neck. Like, that could be it. So, we're just going to plug really quick what's happening next. So, you'll listen to this episode, and then 1 week later, there's going to be an episode where we're really going to dive into what it takes to acclimate a dog into your home when you adopt them.
Right.
And so that's a big part of it.
Yep. We call it the 333.
Yep. So, we're going to talk about that really, really soon, and I hope that you'll be able to share this with anyone who adopts a dog to understand what they're in for, and not in a bad way. It's just a commitment.
Right.
As it should be.
Well, it's a commitment to, an animal, a best friend, a living creature. Like, you've got to give it time to adjust and acclimate.
If you adopt a human child, it's the same thing.
Just like you would want to be treated if you were in a foreign environment.
Right.
Some time to adjust. All right. We got to get rolling. We've been chatting
far too long.
Rambling. Give me your bad dog joke of the week.
Well, it's really not a joke. It's something that happened. We had this dog that came in to rescue, and he was really great, but he had a bad habit. He was walking...
Destructive?
Awful.
Oh.
But he had a specific destruction in mind.
What was it?
He was going around the house, and he was eating... alarm clocks, watches, anything that would tell time. It's super weird. It's like he had something against the ticking of the clock, right? And he couldn't stop it. And, we really have been working hard on training him. We have. But it's been time consuming.
Oh my God. I'm going to fire you on this. That's terrible. These really are bad dog jokes.
Listen, I didn't say they were going to be good.
Okay, let's wrap this shit up.
Yeah.
Featured adoptable dogs. We got 2 this week. We're doing opsies.
Yep.
So first,
yes,
I'm gonna plug Morty. I'm gonna plug Morty because I've been fostering Morty for 2 months. Tomorrow.
That's crazy. I can't believe we've had him that long.
No, 2 months on Thursday.
And
whatever. It's 2 months.
His counterpart who came in with
Waffles,
who
is the spiciest chihuahua I have ever freaking met in my life is
Waffle, and I would like to say that I named her Waffle.
Being adopted.
She got adopted today.
How is she getting adopted before Morty?
I don't know.
I would like to understand that. But please.
Waffle's name was I can't say it.
Twat Waffle.
Oh my lands. TWA.
Her real name is
Waffle. She was awful.
Her name in our records is Twat Waffle because she was that freaking spicy.
She was awful.
Okay, but let's talk about Morty.
But Morty came with her, who was perfect.
All right, so Morty and Waffle had a mom up in northern Iowa. Unfortunately, their mom passed away very suddenly. Mm-hmm. Not a great situation.
No.
Thoughts, prayers out to the family.
All the things. They were left alone and didn't get found quick enough. Right?
Not great.
Yeah, not good. So Chihuahua's adorable.
So Waffle went to Morgan.
She fixed her.
Morgan Rehab.
Fixed her.
I have Morty. So Morty he's probably we don't have any records.
8 is our guess.
I'm going to say 8, 9 years old. He's not a senior because he doesn't have the white face. Mm-hmm. But he's not a kid either.
No.
He's a full-grown ass adult man, okay?
He
has a receding hairline.
His taxes.
Right.
Yeah.
Morty also has an eye that is non-functional.
his eyeball, I can tell the future in.
He has one good eye and
ball.
one not good eye, but it's not a bad eye. It's just a not good eye.
A white eye.
It's going to tell your future. It's like a little magic crystal ball.
If you threw some glitter in there, he wouldn't notice, and it would be really magical.
He's the sweetest boy.
That's just
I've had him for 2 months. He's the sweetest kid.
He's a very good boy.
He potties outside. He uses a dog door. He sleeps like an angel under the covers, adamantly. He eats good, although he prefers everybody else's food over his own, because I feed a homemade diet.
Yep.
What else? Oh, when I get home and everybody's greeting me at the door, he does this.
He talks about it.
He's very vocal.
In the cutest way.
In the cutest way. He is so happy to see you.
I've been on the phone with you when you've walked in, and he's been like, "Hey, Aunt Kara, what's up?"
I don't know why this dog is still here, but he's, he's fine where he's at, but he's got to go.
He's got to go.
He's got to go. So he's about, I don't know, like 8, maybe 10 pounds.
He's little.
He's little. He's a little old Chihuahua man. He's got.
I'd say closer to 8.
He's tan, with the one bum eye. He needs a little parrot and an eye patch. He's good to go. Send me your applications. Share this with your friends.
He just needs his own ship to call home.
Thank you.
Yeah.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, we had
a crazy.
Oh my God, good gravy.
Good gravy.
Oh my dog, good gravy.
That's right. So Gravy, which his name evolved, right? So we got this call out for this dog that was like dying and everything in the world was against it. We're like, oh my gosh, okay, we'll help. And it was
emergency right now situation.
Heartworm positive, had a nail in his belly because he was so hungry he ate the dirt and the nails on the ground.
I think the original message we got was nails. Which turned out to be one nail.
It was a single rusty nail, but okay. Which is the name of a great rock band somewhere.
Still.
So single rusty nail, and he was so underweight, very
emaciated,
very sick. He was living with these people who let him run stray, and he got picked up, and they were like, "Dude, what's wrong with this dog?" Took him into rescue. The rescue, it was down in Texas. The rescue couldn't help him. They couldn't afford to pay for the surgery to get the nail out. They couldn't afford the heartworm treatment. They were like, yeah, he's going to need to be euthanized. Somebody help.
Right.
Suckers from Iowa. We're like, sure. Yeah. Cool.
We'll take him.
I'll raise some nail money. So we took him. We got him here, and we had him evaluated. We did another x-ray. The nail was there. They're like, yeah, we got to get that out. It's not going to be good. It's going to perforate the intestine. It's not good. The nail had been in his stomach for weeks.
And they took an x-ray like the week before he left.
Yeah.
They took an x-ray
same place.
when he got here.
Right in his
same
gut.
place. And then like 3 days later, they went to go do surgery. No nail.
The nail was not in the gut where they had just taken the x-ray
and moved into his bowels.
It was right down
in his rectum.
Ready to roll out.
Which it did.
The vet reached down, twisted the nail so it had a straight way out. Still had to cut the hole, still had to pay all the money for the same surgery because they opened him up, took a look in his belly, nothing there. Still had to stitch everything all up. And literally right after they sewed him up, he pooped the nail.
Shit it on out.
Shot the nail.
And heartworm negative.
Yeah. So they had 2 heartworm positive tests for this dog.
How did that happen?
That has never happened in the history of anything. So he poops the nail out. They do a test and they're like, he don't have heartworms.
So basically this dog is fine, is what you're telling me.
He's fine. So anyway.
There's nothing wrong with this dog.
He's beautiful. He's an
American bulldog.
He's gorgeous.
Big.
He's big. He's gained about 20, 30 pounds probably. He is really beefed back up.
How much does he weigh now? Probably.
what did he come in? He came in like in the 30s or 40s, and probably he's like 60 now, 55, 60.
Yeah.
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 So he beefed up once that nail shot out of him, and he's lovely, and we've had no interest. He's gorgeous.
None.
I love American Bulldogs. I don't understand.
He's white with tan markings. He's got kind of black markings on his nose, on his face. He's got the big old droopy eyes.
He just wants to be somebody's couch buddy.
He's a sweet lover.
Yeah.
He's
a
not
good boy.
aggressive.
No.
He just needs somewhere to land.
I cannot believe that after all of that drama that he brought to us in his reality TV show of making his way to Iowa, that he didn't land in a home. But for goodness sake, he's still in his foster home. We got to get him gone.
So both Morty and Gravy are in what we call our discount bucket.
Right. So we have people that will donate to our cause, and what we'll do with that money, if we don't need it immediately for an urgent vet bill or whatever, we'll use that money to discount what we would normally charge for an adoption fee to cover those vet bills.
Right.
To discount what their adoption fee will be. So both Morty and Gravy, they're $100.
$100.
Everything's done.
For your best friend.
For your best friend.
$100 for your best friend.
And they've got all of their vaccines. They've been heartworm tested.
Well, yeah.
Negative. And
ready to roll.
They are spayed, neutered, both neutered, and ready to roll.
And I would also like to mention that in our last episode 2, we talked about the black dog syndrome.
Yes.
So we've got Fendi, Gumbo, and Dwight, all black dogs, and they are all still adoptable. So
the heck, people, listen,
help us out.
They're so great.
Shit.
They're so wonderful, and I just need people to open their eyes to, yes, I'd really like to have a French Bulldog. But what could be my best friend for life? Maybe it isn't a French Bulldog. Maybe it's a beautiful, muddiest of black dogs. Or maybe a purebred black lab.
In their forever homes.
They need somewhere wonderful. Open up your blinders and see that your best friend doesn't have to be something that you've put into a box in your head.
100%.
Yeah. So, that being said, before we wrap up, I just want to say we do not have a heart dog submission, but I had a few people ask me, well, what the heck is a heart dog? So we'll talk about that super fast.
Wrap this shit up.
I want to be able to wrap it up in that a heart dog is a dog that has literally changed your life, connected to your soul, and done something for you that you never imagined possible from another creature. And what does that look like? So we just want to hear your story of where did that dog come from? How did it end up in your life? How did it change your life? And maybe you still have that dog. Maybe it's passed away. Maybe it was years ago. But just share with us. You
know what I would also like to learn about?
Yeah.
From other people is how you got into rescue.
Yeah.
Because we have people that foster, people that transport.
That's
people
great.
That do. So
how did you
get into foster? If you want to foster for us or for any rescue, please let us know. What got you into it? Yeah. I want to know.
It was probably a dog.
Well, most likely.
It was probably your heart dog.
All right, let's get going.
Okay, so that being that, we've got another episode.
We gotta go pick up that dog.
We gotta go get a dog. So we have another episode coming up, which is our toy episode. We are going to focus on that 3-3-3 rule, where we talk about what does it mean to let a dog integrate into your home. It's going to be a quickie episode, and we will be in and out just to tell you a little bit more about what it takes to adopt a dog and make it work. So
when she says quickie,
make it work. Because when you choose to adopt a dog, you got to figure it out.
That's right. We'll figure it out. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Oh my God.
What I mean when I see, what I see, what I feel, when I dream, when I be, I'm a freak, what up? Oh, what up? Everybody look at me when I'm free, when I feel what I see, when I do it, I'm a freak, what up?